What's up, everybody? This is Colin from Holistic Heritage Homestead. I hope you're all well. Today's chat is going to be about the top 3 things that I think you should really consider and think about and focus on when it comes to your survival garden. Now, first you're going to say, what's a survival garden? Why is a survival garden its own thing? How is it different than a regular garden? Well, I'm going to answer that. In short, I think it's about intent. What are you using the garden for? Is it fun? Is it about beauty and aesthetics and design and landscape? Or is it about function and feeding your family? Naturally, a good designed garden is all about function and getting it done. About providing food and calories and nutrition for you and your family and maybe your community. So, why is a survival garden important? Why do I humbly and firmly believe that every household needs a survival garden? Well, I would say first, have you been awake for the past 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30, whatever? Are you awake? Are you seeing and observing the world around you? And I will digress for a quick moment just to talk about the fact that it doesn't make me a doomer or a negative person by pointing out the irrefutable, the obvious, the intersubjectively agreed upon reality that we're living in. It's like I'm so sick of this feel-good culture where it's all about enjoyment and fun, and you can't say anything negative, even if it's true. It's like I could be the person to say, hey, there's a fire burning down that house or building, and nowadays they're like, that's so negative, man, like, ugh, I just want to think about sports and like Netflix and like other stupid things, right? That's probably an actual response. No, there's a house or a building burning down. I'm just simply pointing it out. So, inflation, especially when it comes to food, shrinkflation, which is the same price or more of a price with still less quantity or product. This is all happening. It's happening around the world, and it's horrible. So what do you do as a human? You have a God-given ability to be self-reliant and self-sufficient, so exercise it, do it, be it, right? Survival garden, it's kind of like my personal pet peeve about hobby farming. I don't like that word or that term, you know, or because it infers that like it's just fun and it's a game. What I'm doing here, what our family are doing here on this homestead is not a game. I'm setting up food security for my family, for the community, and for the future. So I'm not really trying to play a game here. It's not just an exercise of entertainment for me, for us, right? A survival garden is something that you can have in perpetuity that you consider survival situations, or as the stuff hits the fan situations, right? Which it's already been hitting the fan over and over again, daily, right? Wake up. Please. Again, I've talked about this common theme in my videos. Our family does not wake up every day and say, let's be negative. Let's, operate from emotional scarcity. No, we wake up and say, we're very happy. Thank God for this day, for our blessings, for everything. However, we are mature and honest and aware enough to be realistic and pragmatic about the current dynamic. Wake up. You need a survival garden. Remember, there was a time when our own government encouraged its citizenry to grow victory gardens. Remember that? That's the history books. History. We have templates to prove this stuff, right? What happened? Where did we lose our way? Because there's something very human. It's innately and inherently human to be in touch with the production of your own food. If you're not growing your own food, whether it's livestock or it's gardening or whatever, you are missing a big part of what we've been designed to do and be. Because penguins and whales and mountain lions and goats and coyotes, so on and so forth, can't really do what we can do. Yeah, they can. Okay, so let's be human. Let's be in touch with nature, with our own food supplies, our own food sources, and build this self-reliance. So a survival garden is different than like a hobby garden or a beauty garden or a landscape garden, in the sense that it's about food. So yes, you can have your flowers and your beauty, but that also serves the purpose of creating and attracting pollinators and beneficial insects and bugs and birds and all that fun stuff, right? Or releasing chemicals and hormones that repel pests and certain things. Like, it all has a purpose. Everything has a purpose. There's no building block of a survival garden that doesn't serve a purpose. So that is what makes it a survival garden. And survival gardening is about learning skills. It's the type of thing where it's like, we as Americans especially throw money at things. Buy this, buy the soil, buy the fertilizer, buy the this, buy the that, buy the raised bed, buy it all. Cool, but when you throw money at things, often you're doing it because you're not taking the time to, for example, in the sense of fertilizer, maybe learn how to do your own compost. You're throwing money at a brand new raised bed, learning how to build your own raised bed, right? It's about, you work to learn, not to earn. Survival gardening is about skill sets. So if you take the money away, you take the gasoline away, and your tiller and your tractor, you take all this stuff away, you can go back to primitive skill sets and knowledge to produce food for your family and or community in perpetuity. That's what a survival garden is about. That's it. Moving on to the three main points that I want you to think about, to consider, and to do when it comes to your survival garden, right? The first thing is, it should be on systems. Now, when you say systems, I'm talking about, number one, systems. Is it close enough to your home or your residence that it's ease of access, easy to get into, right? But not so close that maybe home toxins, we talked about this in my previous Top 10 Tips for Beginner Gardeners video, reference that. It's a solid video, and I touch some things that other people don't really touch on, right? Maybe there's cleaning agents or whatever. There's always poisons in and around the home. That's why indoor air pollution is the thing, right? Far enough away from your house that you're not getting any toxins there, but close enough to be convenient. Is it close to a water source? Do you have a system in place, whether it's a hose or a pump system or irrigation or swales or terraforming, whatever? You have systems in place to get the water where it needs to be for your survival garden. Systems, right? Are you considering ergonomics? Is it efficient as far as where you're moving, what you're doing? Where are your garden tools? Do you leave them in place in the garden, right? Or do you have them in the shop? Do you have them in your house? These are all things that I think not a lot of people really think about. So have systems. Can you move manure, organic materials, wood chips in and out with ease? Do you have access? Okay. Systems for pest control. Maybe perhaps a hardware cloth skirt, a small gauge hardware cloth skirt around the bottom of your garden, right? Your fence or your living wall or whatever, to prevent that. Systems, right? You want to make things easy so that it's something that anybody can do. And in survival, you can't think about short term. You got to think about months and years or decades even, right? Look at history and places in the world who've had civilizations collapse, or even in recent history, current events where first and second world nations were in serious trouble. Like Greece comes to my mind immediately. You know, certain Central and South American countries, Eastern Soviet bloc, whatever. Much of Asia, right? Are elderly people able to have access? Maybe that's their job. That's, people all need to produce value in a team, in a prepper team, in a homestead community. Everybody has work and job to do. Maybe that the gardening is something that's good for the elderly. Can the elderly access and navigate and work through your garden? Can children, which is a great thing for children to do, is it children friendly, right? systems. Setup and systems is number one. Number one, setup and systems. Number two, quite simply, what do you grow? Now, I'm going to go quick because could be its own video. Heirloom. Why heirloom? So your genetics are true and pure, because you grow a hybrid, not GMO. Never grow GMO. It's garbage. And, everything's GMO. It's when you have a hybrid. No. Gene splicing in a lab is not the same thing as mommy and daddy plant make a hybrid baby. Step to me. Because it's not. And there's a lot of evil and bad things about GMOs. Trying to make you sterile. What? I don't know. Whatever. No big deal. We'll talk later. Never GMO. If you grow a hybrid, expect that your parent plant is going to produce one of its parent's plants. So you're not going to get the same eggplant or tomato that you thought you were going to get. It's going to be different, which is fine. But if you want true genetics and you want seeds that are not sterile, that you can actually save and grow more food from, because you can't go to the store, we're talking about survival, right? Heirloom. It has to be heirloom. Don't be silly. Heirloom. Organic. Why? Not because I'm some cultist. It's because organic is better. It's healthier. Number one, irrefutable. Get over it, right? Do your research, right? Number two, you're going to save money because you're not going to need insecticide, pesticide every year. You're not going to need fertilizer. You're going to have your own compost, your own inputs. So growing organic gives you more longevity and sustainability in your systems, right? So you need to be organic. Recommend native. Native. Why? It's proven, in short, and it's going to work with your weather cycles, right? Do you grow perennials or annuals? I say both, because they both have their benefits. You want to have food producing all year round. Perennial is more hands-off. Annuals might be more hands-on, but pound for pound, square inch by square inch, and energy in, energy out, annuals can be very prolific and yield incredible amounts of food. So I recommend, humbly, a permaculture situation or a food forest situation, and interspaced and or throughout, or with that, your annuals, because they're a sure win. They're a sure win, and you also get seed cycle every year, which is another good thing. What to grow? Calories. Lettuce is not at the top of my list for a survival crop. Potatoes are probably my number one. Jerusalem artichokes, look them up. Okay, sunchokes, whatever you want to call them, right? They're great, but they are invasive, right? So maybe in a closed system or a closed container, they're great, right? Or hidden, or if you don't care anymore and you give up, let them go. You will have food in perpetuity. Lots of pros and cons about Jerusalem artichokes. I'm going to do a video on them. We have them growing here. We were blessed by a family of ours that actually mailed them to us from New York, and they were held strong in the mail. We've got them doing their thing in containers. But things like that. Calorie-dense food. If you're far south, if you're warm enough that you can grow yams and sweet potatoes and all that, absolutely. You're more north, potatoes, right? And then even though plants do not offer a complete amino acid profiles as far as proteins go, beans are great. Grains are great if you have the space and the ability. You want to think about calories, calorically dense, nuts, legumes. Again, roots and tubers, things you can put in a root cellar so it can last. You want to grow things that are easy to store, whether it's a root cellar or easy to can. And you also want to grow things that are year-round. So you have a schedule, right? Let's say my tomatoes or chili peppers are warm-loving, heat-loving plants. Well, at the end of that hot season, you better have that cold stuff, your lettuce, your brassicas, ready to rock so that there's an overlap. So there's always some type of food. There should always be some type of food growing for you. And you could also do different things when it comes to bringing things indoors and containers, right? When it comes to that. But I think about what to grow. And this might sound, not a lot of people talk about this. This is a more of a unique point on YouTube, is things that you can hide with ease. I don't know, let's pretend some authoritarian government overlord shows up in your property and wants to, confiscate your stuff because you're too wealthy as far as food, and you're too prepared because you worked hard and planned. Unlike other people, that are lazy and don't have foresight. And they want to maybe confiscate that or spread or redistribute the wealth. Listen to what I'm saying. This has been broadcasted. This is happening. It is happening. It already has happened, whether it's monetary or resources, okay? Follow me. Or maybe some people show up with bad intentions. Please listen to me. You want to have food. They take all your stuff, cool. You want to have food growing on your property that no one even recognizes as food or knows about. Yeah. Pro tip right there. Pro tip. Obscure, hidden, little enclaves of food, separate part of the property, whatever. Hidden food. That's what you want to grow, right? You want to grow a good nutritional profile. Think about vitamins. It's hard to grow vitamin C unless you have citrus or things like that, or kiwis or whatever, Think about your vitamin. Can you grow zinc? What kind of nuts, perhaps, or seeds have zinc? Think of a world, survival gardening, again, unplugging from the system, where you can't buy, you can't Amazon your prime delivery of your vitamins. Which, by the way, food is more bioavailable and a better and superior form, and fresher, and a bunch of million other reasons that food is your vitamin. Let food be thy medicine, right? Vitamins are just a backup, a supplement, and a complement to what we're lacking and not doing. Grow your vitamin C. Grow your fiber, which is not really a vitamin, but it's a macro component, right, of the bigger picture, right, of the micro, right? Grow your selenium. Grow your zinc. Grow that stuff, right? So you're thinking heirloom. You're thinking organic. You're thinking native. You're thinking the crossover of the seasons. You're thinking storable. You're thinking cannibal. You're thinking, again, calories, nutrition. You also have to think about medicine. There's great books out there. There's a series of books like Where There Are No Doctors, Where There Are No Dentists. I believe that's the name of them. But it talks about world where people live in this world where there's no doctors, no dentists. Can you produce your own medicinal stuff? Whether they treat symptoms or the problem, the bacteria or the virus or whatever, the ailment itself, right? Topical, whatever. Grow your own medicine. Something not a lot of people think about. And I also say, as far as what to grow, I think about diversification. If I were to invest, when I invest, it's speculation to say, I only do real estate, I buy stuff and I sell it, or I pick one type of stock and I buy it and I sell it, or one real estate investment trust and I buy it and I sell it, or whatever, right? That's more like speculation, right? You're at the whim of the markets and supply and demand and a lot of invisible hands that you can't even imagine, and the government interference. They can do whatever they want at any time, right? Diversify. What do you grow? You grow a bunch of different types of stuff. So if one type of crop fails, another crop will succeed. Maybe the Jerusalem artichokes succeed, but you had a potato blight or something, right? Diversification, right? Number 3, how to grow. So we went over, what is a survival garden, right? What does that mean? And your focus. And also systems and setup. Now, what to grow. Now, what about how to do it? How to grow it? How are you going to make this happen? I recommend, how do you grow? You do it. You start. If you haven't started, again, like the Chinese proverb, 20 years ago, 30 years ago is the best time to start. Second best time to start is now, right? You grow with diversity in mind. Again, how do you grow? How do you diversify your methodology, right? You have containers. Why? It gets super cold. You can bring them inside. You can move them. It's also its own uniform growing medium. There's less elemental pressure and less things that can happen. You have more control over pests and disease because it's its own tiny little environment. Segregated, separate, right? Containers. You can move with the sun. You can move with whatever. Containers. I recommend, by the way, we do this all. We're doing all of these methods. Hugelculture. Let's say in your specific context or environment, you have access to a lot of organic matter and a lot of maybe trees, a lot of lumber, a lot of sticks, a lot of twigs, a lot of leaves. Hugelculture mounds, great method for you. I don't recommend there was a lot of pest pressure because mice and rats want to live in those warm, comfortable, essentially compost piles is what they are, right? So, if you have it safe or locked up, or it's inside or in a greenhouse, or you have a fence or whatever, hugelculture might be something you consider, right? Raised beds, again. It's an isolated growing medium. You have a lot more control over what's going on and what you're doing. A lot more control over your soil. You generally can control the density and the texture of the soil more, so you can grow things like carrots, which will grow beautiful and vertical instead of mutated and deformed and whatever else, right? Raised beds, absolutely. What about back to Eden? Absolutely. Permaculture food forest, absolutely. Aquatic stuff surrounding your pond, absolutely. What about in-row traditional farming? You know, 3 sisters method, 5 cousins, you know, whatever. I say do all of those things. Do it all. Because if you get blight, or your orchard, for example, you know, gets a fungus and you have a bad year and you can't go buy the copper stuff to spray on it or whatever, and you don't have time or access to what you need to fix that, well, your in-row crops are doing well, right? You're like David the Good. He's amazing. He's a phenomenal YouTube channel. That guy, I've learned so much from David the Good. He's next level, right? Grocery row gardens, right? He has some great stuff on that. Old school heritage style growing, right? Stuff that's proven and has a historical component and proof behind it, right? So do it all. One thing I recommend, I might not have said this if it was 10 years ago, but I want to say grow safely. Now, what do I mean by safely? Now, you're going to say, Colin, you're going a little, out there, Colin. But by the way, everything I've ever predicted most of my life, and this is as humble as I can be, but it's the truth, and ask the people that know me, has come true. I am not that intelligent. I don't have a lot of skills and a lot of talents and whatever else, but I think I was blessed with foresight and social intelligence and a love for history and just the ability to see a little further, right? But I can tell you, I think that safety for your food crops is something that is a new thing to consider. What do I mean? I didn't grow in New York food in my front lawn. I had a bigger front lawn than a back yard, right? Front yard than a backyard. You know why I didn't? Because 2 reasons. One, people could and would. It's New York, by the way, so, you know. Okay? Packing chickens into the coop. We talked about this. They could and would steal my food. If there were strawberries there, they'd walk up and take them, they would whatever. There's also a lot of people that just like to vandalize and just do random destruction and violence and whatever. Like, bad things happen in places like that, right? When you're crowded and too many people that are miserable and cranky, probably because there's too many people. I digress. And also, I think of next level. I think of like, I don't know. Hopefully, and probably not going to happen in my lifetime. I don't know. But roving bands of crazy people looking to take your stuff, like has happened in Greece and South Africa and Nicaragua and Vietnam and the Philippines and many other places in recent history. But no, never happened here. Not here. Not here. We're not like in Eastern Europe or the Soviet bloc. We're not. Listen, destruction, theft, and also I'm a student of like, you know, Miyamoto Musashi and Sun Tzu, and I like that stuff. They can very easily poison your food. It's accidental, even accidentally. Pour a gallon of oil on the side of the road. Who knows? It's whatever. Or on purpose. They can poison your food. Have your food, your gardens, your survival gardens in sight in range, if you know what I'm talking about, in range of tools, I don't know, whatever, in range. And now, sadly, I think fenced, a security fence is actually needed. Yeah. And I would not have said that 10 years ago. So how do you grow? All the ways. With love, with knowledge, and expect to learn as you grow. Talked about what a survival garden is. It's about intent and purpose. And your 3 points are, number 1 is systems and setup. Definitely. Easy, convenient, ergonomic, whatever. 2 is what do you grow? Heirloom, organic, native, different types of stuff, diversification, storable things. We talked about that. And that's number 2. And number 3 is how do you grow? That's container gardening, hugelkultur, rows, all of the methods. Anything you can do it, because if one fails, you have backups, right? I really hope that you all consider having a survival garden. And so you can have a garden already, but if you're growing more flowers and ornamentals and landscape stuff, perhaps you should switch to things that are going to save you money, right? Because money is always going to be put down debt, pay off your mortgage, pay down, if you have credit card debt, that's bad, pay it off. Take that few $1,000s because you easily can do that in a small place, and put that towards that. Okay, shift that money saved from growing your own food into paying down your debt and getting other resources that are tangible and useful in today's dynamic. Okay. When I say survival garden, I want you to focus more on learning and getting hands-on and working and going primitive, just in case you got unplugged, without all the fun stuff and all the stuff you buy and all the electricity and the tools and all that. Think primitive and grow to learn, not to earn. So if you make money, that's great. If you save money, that's great. But learn the skills, trial and error. Let me know what you want to grow. Let me know your favorite things that you think are important to have in a survival garden. Your different ways you like to grow, the things you like to grow, things to consider about a survival garden. Like, comment, subscribe. Please share this. Share this to your friends and family around the world. They live in a third world country or even a first world country, but it's under some stress right now. And we live in America, which is under stress. The whole world is under stress. Share this to people to encourage them to be more self-reliant, resilient, and save money and healthier. Again, I didn't even touch on that. It's unlimited reasons you need to have your own garden. And think about function and intent. Don't necessarily think, who cares? Grow stuff that has purpose and it will feed you. Survival garden, first and foremost. If you have a survival garden and it's up and running and it provides everything you need, and you want to plant some flowers, landscape a little, do that secondary, right? With the purpose of benefit in that survival garden with pollinators and all that stuff, but just saying. Get it going, get it growing. Let me know. Much love to you all. Take care.